everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks. And today we've got the pleasure of watching Harm playing in their AT-15. This is the Tier 8 British Tech Tree Tank Destroyer. And I know, you don't need to adjust your set, you don't need to adjust your vision. This is not a game where you're going to see a player playing either a top tier vehicle or playing an overpowered premium tank to be able to crush through the enemy team. Today you have the pleasure of watching a tech tree tank and an unpainted tech tree tank at that, with regular equipment, no premium consumables, and 75% non-gold rounds on this vehicle. Have a good game. I know, what is this? Am I better? Yeah, I am. Unironically, I am feeling a lot better now after taking pretty much like nigh on 10 days or a couple of weeks to really be able to shift this cold away. It's been a doozy, so good luck to any of you out there who are actually not shut-ins like me, where you're staying inside and pretty much playing video games and then working inside playing video games as well. But I digress. The AT-15, you're going to get to see what this vehicle is all about. Now, the only thing I don't like about this is that Harm hasn't painted their vehicle. It doesn't really cost you anything these days to have a 2D style or just to move one off another vehicle or put it on. Or probably have just some of the camouflage paint where you only need to paint the hull. You don't need to paint the gun, the tracks, any of that shenanigans to still be able to get the full camo bonus. And it can help, it really can help, especially on tank destroyers like this one, where even though it's gigantic, you still get fairly okay camo rating on the move with its base value of 7. Way better than a heavy tank. And if you have a concealment crew and yada yada yada, and let me clarify, I wouldn't take the concealment crew probably on this vehicle until at least your 4th skill, so I guess that's a bit of a luxury that maybe Harm doesn't have. Also, with so many people picking free tech trees that don't come with stars and so on and so forth, you know, it is lazy to not put a star on the vehicle, and it can make the difference as to whether you get spotted or not, especially in bushes in a tank destroyer. But look, if that's the only gripe that I'm going to have with this game, then you know something's going to be good. So Harm has got this vehicle set up in my opinion, the perfect way for just close quarters combat brawling. Gun rammer, durability, turbo. Enough speed to be able to improve the, I would say, bad top speed of this vehicle, but now it's actually 25. But importantly, the reverse speed getting improved by the turbo here, which makes it oh so much more flexible and stops your opponents from being able to flank it. The gun rammer is going to pump up that DPM, and the durability, especially if you don't have a perfect crew and you're not using a premium repair kit, which improves the repair time of all of the modules on your vehicles, improved by the durability. And also this vehicle has got a good old chunk of hit points. Its base hit points is 1,500, so improving them will help. So I just love this part of this replay. You know, it's a TS5 bludgeoning forwards premium tank, way better than the AT-15, but not today, as Harm is going to show you some good marksmanship against the weak points of the AT-15, and even puts a regular round, but doesn't load gold and go for the lower play. I would have done that personally. Instead, actually aims for weak points, you know, weak points, and then uses the gun to block the shot from the SU-130 PM. Guys, this is a replay from a time that World of Tanks forgot, where it wasn't just so much of a case of just load the gold and just try and bludgeon your way through your opponents and play premium tanks and all of this. It's tech tree tanks, not spamming gold right from the get-go, using precision marksmanship to lock down their tracks, to penetrate their weak points, and to protect yourself as well, not with just overpowered armor, but by some sneaky plays, raising the gun, blocking your weak points, and just clubbing through a VK 101p. It's just beautiful gameplay, and I really hope that you all enjoy this replay as much as I did from watching it, because it truly did remind me of the kind of a lot more gameplay that was actually acceptable to be competitive inside the game 10 years ago than it is now. Now it feels like everyone's got a premium account the whole time, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It does lower the playing field. I think that's good, and it's definitely one of the better things about World of Tanks these days, if you're playing for free, is that it's oh so much easier to be able to get premium account time if you are somebody who makes use of events. I feel like I've got it maybe about half the time on my free-to-play account just by participating in events and using the Battle Pass premium days strategically. What do you mean strategically? Well, very quickly, if you don't actually pick a Battle Pass and then you wait for your weekend, for example, you come home on a Friday and then you pump your points into the battle pass. You can quite often get a day or get 3 days and then use that for the weekend when you actually have time to play, rather than just be pumping points into the battle pass left, right and center, and sometimes randomly getting the premium days where you may or may not want them. That combined with the new What Plus, which just a couple of months ago now gave 15% extra credits to everyone who does have What Plus. And that is the difference, right? That's the difference between being able to afford premium consumables, or in most of your game, or making profit while only firing gold rounds and not. And so the disparity of players from the people who don't have any of the economy advantages and the players that do, with regards to the amount of gold rounds they fire, with the amount of premium consumables that they use, with the amount of bounty equipment that they can afford to upgrade, because it's 3 million credits a pop, which not a lot of people consider. Or even just having What Plus and then being able to put bounty equipment on all of your tanks. It's just this layer upon layer upon layer of advantages that, while they don't make the difference between a good player and a bad player, they can quite often make the difference between whether a good player will get through the battle with a victory or not, sadly. Not all the time, but definitely some of the time these advantages will help and change the outcome of the battle. Purely by not using a food consumable here, Harm will be making their vehicle pretty much worse in every single way by 5%. 5% accuracy, 5% reload, 5% view range. As we can see with the mini-map there, they're pretty much as blind as a bat. They're just going to have to use other tools at their disposal that paying customers just won't really have to consider to be able to see if they're going to be able to pull off something epic here. And here is the recently buffed T43. Featured it on the YouTube channel a couple of weeks ago. That thing is absolutely gnarly as a tier 7 medium tank now. So if you haven't checked that video out, go and play one of the original tier 7 mediums after checking out that video and see why the T43 is an absolute beast and probably better than any of the premiums that are at tier 7 at the moment. So Harm going to chase them down here, get forward with the turbo. Unfortunately missed the shell there on the back of the T43, and they're in a bit of a sticky situation here where all of their team are playing quintessential sit at the back of the map tank destroyers that are now getting surrounded, and our big brute of a hero Harm is at the front with, oh no, the VK that they mortally wounded earlier. So what's their plan? Are they going to push the T43 and kite the VK? I like that tactic actually, because they can kite the VK, get away from them, especially if this T43 is incapable of locking down their tracks, and render the VK useless. Personally, for me, I might have just gone for the VK there, thinking I'll just tank a few shots in the back of the T43 and at least I can get the German behemoth out of the game because he can't kite me. But I actually prefer this tactic. He can just kite the VK and then force the T43 to make mistakes, and hopefully, in this case, set up some ambushes for if the T43 is going to think that they can follow them round as they chase the VK. Unfortunately for Harm, the E25 on their team falls, but luckily that T43 actually pushes forwards, and Harm's once again are going to go for the weak point on top of the VK, and with a little bit of assistance there from the artillery, that now means that the VK was a one-shot. They shut them down. Looks like the artillery also stunned the T43 at the same time, so he was able to get away, but not that quickly. So Harm now finds themselves in a 3 versus 6 situation where they are down by 500 hit points. Now they're going to bait this Skoda. They're going to reverse to stop them from getting in the side, and the Skoda actually rams themselves for 390 and does 0 damage to Harm's tank because this vehicle, it weighs 62 tons. Great play there to block the light tank, who got far too confident in that situation, shutting down that tier 7 light tank, and now looking a lot more likely to be able to get through this game. Harm is also trying to do a very tricky mission for this tank, which is a huge caliber, where they have to do 4 times more the damage than the hit points of their vehicle. And the fact that they're doing missions for the T55A suggests that Harm might be fairly new on this account. Maybe they just joined the EU server, maybe from the CIS server just a few months ago, with the possibility of getting one of those new accounts. Because they are clearly a very good player. They are playing in a very tight way, as if they have a low economy on this account. Listen to me, talking about having a low economy on this account. That's really the state the World of Tanks is in now in 2025 compared to what it used to be. where people driving around clearly as free-to-play players used to be more of a socially acceptable thing now, Uncle Scrubs. Now I have to kind of chastise myself by playing with a handicap on my free-to-play account to be able to experience the goodness that World of Tanks used to be. Talk about the goodness that World of Tanks used to be. Harm has a pressure situation here. 1 versus 4 with a pesky E25 breathing down their neck, or at least trying to go behind. And that E25 realizes, ooh, maybe I shouldn't have pushed forwards. Unfortunately, it's going to allow that newly buffed T43 to be able to get 3 shots into the back of Harm, but quickly changing their 1 versus 4 into a 1 versus 2. Harm now needing 500 damage. They're going to have to get their teeth stuck into the IS-22 if they want to be able to progress their mission. And to do this one with honors, they're going to also have to win and survive. Now, this mission, you'd be silly to not do it in something with a lot less hit points and also not using a durability device, because actually, if you take the durability device, you're increasing that extra 150 hit points by 4, so like extra 600 damage that you have to deal in the battle purely because of your choice of equipment. Now, whether you think as a player that you're able to do 4 times more damage on top of the extra 150, so the 600 extra damage that you're going to have to deal because of that durability. So, the T-43 on their team clearly highlights, is IS AFK or is AFK? Perhaps, you know, they haven't been spotted since they're inside the base, but they did take some damage earlier on, but whether they are still AFK or not remains to be seen. So Harm is, Lorraine isn't, says Sadface for Harm. Yeah, you're gonna have to deal with the Lorraine as well, my friend. So what's the best play right now? Is it to protect the base, or is it to try and make their way over? With the turbo, not sure if they have, Harm has the ground resistance improvements. We can actually guess here, and that is because they don't have any of the elite levels, that means that they don't have the field mods. And because they don't have the field mods, that means that they don't have the ground resistances, that's for sure. And the ground resistances on this tank makes such a difference. You're literally improving your ability to be able to cross terrain by 15%. So you will just have 15% better mobility once you get that second field mod on this tank. In addition to the 30% extra track health that you're going to have. It's crazy how brutal it is in the game now that there will be certain tier 10 tanks that if you unlock them, you're going to have to grind through the entirety of those tier 10 tank destroyers like the Breaker or like the STRV 103B without actually having that second field mod. Because if Harm had it, they'd be going up this slope literally 15% faster than they are right now. Considering they only have 2 minutes now to be able to find the last 2 vehicles on the enemy team, yeah, I bet you they wish that they had that field mod. But again, it's just a luxury that you can only have once you've elited a vehicle and you decide you want to invest some more time in a tank like this rather than just immediately go on towards the Tortoise. So I bet you Harm is really hoping that the IS-22 is AFK. The Lorraine just sitting out in the open, I guess, preparing for an ambush shot, but they were not prepared for Harm to be able to shut them down and pick up a Radley Walters medal here. And also, let's take a moment to appreciate that the Lorraine on the enemy team is called the Bat Boom. That's just great, especially once you start to get towards the high-end French self-propelled guns. Kind of like a batch. Oh, what's this? Oh, wow, the IS-22 is not AFK, so we have a showdown at the end of the battle to see who's going to be able to get this. And we can see that now Harm is taking this seriously as they are commissioning those gold rounds that they've been holding for the first 6,000 damage that they've dealt in this battle. Funnily enough, against a tank that's probably a lot weaker than the VK 100-01P. So the siren goes off, 1 minute left. Can Harm be able to put this IS-22 in harm's way? They bounce the shot. There's still 1,200 hit points to get through. They're going to have to be continuously firing for at least about 25 seconds to be able to get through. So Harm is going to commit, puts one shot into the top, rams the IS-22, but actually does no damage and takes damage from ramming the Soviet heavy tank. The IS-22 bounces a double, which now means that Harm is going to be able to catch the back of their tracks and keep face-hugging the IS-22, who bounced that double, puts one more shot in, and with 15 seconds left on the game, shuts down the IS-22, wins the 1 versus 4, puts the GG out in chat, completes TD8, a huge caliber, with barely any premium rounds fired, regular equipment, and no premium consumables. Ladies and gents, boys and girls, watching this replay really felt like it was looking at a time machine here. Tech Tree Tank as well. What a beautiful game with just only skills in this game. No pay to win, no stats of money. This was about as pure of a game that you could possibly have, showing you just absolutely perfect free-to-play gameplay. So massive ace tanker here for 1,225 base experience. Harm did pretty much as much damage as the rest of their team here. Their first mark of excellence, showing you that they are fairly new to the AT-15. Their first ace tanker, a Radley Walters medal for those 9 kills, the high caliber for that whopping near 7,500 damage dealt, and a steel wall as this vehicle was able to block 3,000 damage with the armor. And a beautiful thing to see here that Harm manages to get 128,000 credits profit playing a Tech Tree Tank in a very economical free-to-play way. So Harm, congratulations to you on this mammoth game of World of Tanks, and just lovely to see that there are still players out there playing this game how a lot of people used to play it back in the day, without embracing the pretty much pay-to-win onion that World of Tanks has become in 2025. But I'd like to clarify, I don't judge anyone for using all of those advantages. They are there for a reason, and you should use all of them that you can manage to get your hands on. There's no point of putting yourself at a disadvantage as a player purely because of the systems upon systems upon systems that wargaming have added over the last 10 years. I'm completely judging the game, and I'm not judging a player's choices. Nevertheless, I have to absolutely celebrate Harm for this incredible game of World of Tanks, and I really hope all of you out there enjoyed this one as much as I did. If you did, make sure you give the video a like down below. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And let me know in the comments down below, do you struggle with the economy in World of Tanks? And if so, why? What is the major bottleneck that is kind of holding you back? For me, on my free-to-play account for years, it was pretty much having all of the experience of being able to unlock all of the tanks, but just never actually having the credits to be able to purchase all of the tier 10s for years. And that's especially prevalent now that Top of the Tree is gone. And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Friday, I'm going live all day on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby with brand new drops. Come and get yourself some The Walking Dead decals, eeny, meeny, miny, some boosters to be able to help you progress through the game, and some premium consumables. And thankfully, as I managed to finish Onslaught in Champion on both of my accounts, I'm going to be only playing the random queue today. Looking forward to it. So really looking forward to seeing you all live. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.